So you guys probably heard, RTSs are starting to fully retire soon, and the MTA decided to give them an official retirement date, May 10th. So, I think today, I'm going to share some of my memories with the RTSs, running from 1981 to 2019. These buses are the champ. Nothing can replace them. We had so many kinds of RTSs. We had the first units, which are Mapstoa's 2000s, and then the New York City Transit started with the 1000s. And between 1981 and 1996, we had coach units. And during the 1990s, we tested out a few CNGs and hybrids. Let's not forget the ones at private lines. The ones at Greenhouse, Command, Triborough, all of that. Those were okay units as well, but not as good as the New York City Transit and Mapstoa units. These buses were pretty much everywhere you could think of. Staten Island, Queens, Bronx, Manhattan, and of course Brooklyn. All of them depots. They all had RTSs at one point. And of course, starting in the 2000s, RTSs were slowly being phased out. I think Staten Island was the first division to fully get rid of the RTSs, but they're not the first depots to get rid of them. I think even before the 2000s, probably around 1999, Casey Central, they were full of Orion 5s. The RTSs at Casey Central basically just disappeared as soon as the 6000s were there. And then after Central, what's the next depot that got rid of the RTSs? I think every depot just had RTSs for a few more years. And around 2008, I believe Gun Hill was the next depot to get rid of the RTSs, followed by Kingsbridge. Okay, so what I remember is this. First, the first depot that got rid of their RTSs was Casey Central. Then it was Mother Clare Hell before it closed in 2008. Then followed by, I believe, Gun Hill and Kingsbridge. And then in 2010, right before the budget cuts, Manhattanville still had a few RTSs to run. But 100th Street, also known as Tuskegee Airmen, they had a few RTSs in the 1990s, but then it closed down. And when it reopened in 2003, all D60s. And after Manhattanville. Was it after Manhattanville? Oh wait, I think before Manhattanville, Staten Island. Staten Island was completely wiped out before Manhattanville got rid of their RTSs. And then, I think there were still a few spread out here and there, not including the private lines. After Staten Island was wiped out and Manhattanville lost their RTSs, the next depot to get rid of their RTSs was West Farms in 2012. But, even though the Bronx Division got rid of all their RTSs by 2012, in 2015, they returned to West Farms. Around 10 units replacing CNG buses that were out at the time. And then shortly after, Eastchester got their RTSs. They get 5175 to 5199, replacing the aging Orion 5s there. And let me tell you, if you pay attention to RTSs, you would. Wow. I admit, I wondered when the RTSs started to appear in the Bronx again. As a matter of fact, my very first YouTube video is 5188 and 5193 on the BX23. But unfortunately, the RTSs didn't last that long. And a few years later, in 2017, they were taken out of the Bronx for good, replaced by the XN40s, and then Eastchester they decided to swap out the RTSs for some of LaGuardia's engines, which is a bit disappointing. But again, if you're an elderly person in Co-op City and you needed to use the BX23 Q50, your ass is pretty much screwed and you have to take the stairs or wait for the wheelchair lift. So fast forward to 2019. The last depot to have RTSs in the MTA bus, there were still 96 units. And they were former coaches or Suburbans, which was, I believe at the beginning of this year we had 9302, 9307, and 9348. And then New York City Transit still had 99 buses. And I think when the N was restored at the stations that were closed, which I believe, 30th Street and Broadway? I might be wrong with that. But anyways, after the N stations reopened, those RTSs were gone. The 96 units, those guys, damn, those guys held up pretty well. 23 years? That's how an RTS runs. They run from anywhere between 17 and 20 years, with the exception of the CNG units, obviously. And right now, the only buses to have RTSs right now is East New York, Omar Park, Flatbush, Jamaica, and Michael Quill. And recently, of course, we have the people in Brooklyn, Brownsville, and East New York. They complained the hell about the RTSs. They were fucking talking mad shit. They said they want more green units. And honestly, I think East New York RTSs were about to retire anyway, because as the newer XT40s go to Fresh Pond, we got some old gens going to East New York, replacing those RTSs. But what I think is happening, we might have got rushed on retiring the RTSs. Might have. MTA said they want to retire the RTSs by May 10th of this year. I mean, I think we can achieve that goal with the arrival of the XT40s, which is going at a very good pace. And then we had 8511 recently delivered to Queens Village, and then there's a possibility that the XT60s at Flatbush may retire some RTSs. I mean, I could kind of believe that the RTSs are being rushed for retirement, but I don't think they're going to retire by May 10th. We're still going to have at least a few dozen left. And of course, since MTA decided to make an official retirement date, they don't reach that date. Overall, the RTS, if it's not one of the best buses ever made, it is the best bus ever made. Nothing can replace them. They are loved by transit fans everywhere. And whether or not they're retired by May 10th, we have to wait and see. But anyways, yeah. They're about to be gone, but they're definitely not going to be forgotten. And that's all I got to say about the RTSs. I'll catch you guys later.